I'm interested in talking to you about something else that we've been doing together, which is called Profitable Neighbourhoods. And it started in January when we were thinking, wow, there's a new government coming in and there's a new opportunity to think differently about housing. But we weren't actually hearing about it. We weren't hearing any new thinking from Labour, and we were a bit worried that it might be just more of the same. And I think, to be honest, they've been voted in. Things haven't really, they haven't been saying, maybe they will do in the next month or so, but they haven't been saying very brave, interesting, imaginative things about where housing can go now. So we thought, well, housing costs a lot of money, so it's got to be profitable. But the thing that people are leaving out is that we can't just let the house builders build the housing and it's profitable for them, but hey-ho, they go off and they leave people to try and make a life there. And the only way they can make a life, 3 roundabouts from a pint of milk, is to have maybe 2 or 3 cars. And then how do you actually make sure that teenagers get to see their mates? How do you make sure that if it's a nuclear family or if it's not, whatever, how do you make sure that people can still have careers? Because actually isolation is a bit of a killer when you know business and everything runs on chance encounters in the street. But if we just let this car-dominated sort of housing continue, those house builders are long since gone, but people, the residents, are not able to make profit. And then the third thing is over quite, you know, I think everybody's aware of this now, is that like local authorities struggle to deal with isolated communities. They've still got to get those kids to school. They've still got to get the people in trouble to hospital or to other social services. So it becomes something which is not profitable for all of us. So we thought we'd call it Profitable Neighbourhoods and see where we could think differently and particularly more densely about and bring more. Well, there is a little story that we're now going to tell. We say that everything is changing. And perhaps this Englishman's castle idea that, you know, you would move out into a greener space and you'd have your own house all the way up to heaven, all the way down to Australia. Maybe that's like, you know, maybe that's losing its shine. Commuting is just time. It's time that you're not with your family or doing the things you want to do. You're not in your communities, so you're more like just you're more like just a lodger there rather than really living there. And if we put the homes closer together, we can actually keep some of the wealth in those communities and develop some social enterprise, small commerce, and all that. So people talk in this country about how there's appropriate densities for, you know, city, edge of city, peri-urban, you know, suburban, rural. But actually, is there? Can that not be something that we all decide, like what densities we want where? And that we argue that density is actually a social construct. It really, it's something to be creative about, something to enjoy, something to do something with. And we need to make it affordable. That affordability comes from making the most of resources. So what we do at the moment is not really, you know, affordable for anyone, really. It takes up a lot of tarmac to deliver these zones. So we call it TMT, too much tarmac. And when you have too much tarmac, you just actually, the relationship you have between your front door and the car is your main experience. Whilst what we really want is we want to have a sense of coming out of our front door or our back door and just, we might not know everyone, we might not want to know everyone, but we just are in this space where we might say hello, or we might share something, or need some help, or want to give some help. And these are the kinds of places where in the background of the image, you can see the cars. We're not saying no cars. You know, this can be car light. You can have a car when you need a car, but we're not prioritising car parks over people. So what we want to do is double the density, and by doing that, we will reduce emissions by 35%. We think much more if we put these things in the right place. In this image, you can sort of see that there's a bit of mailings going on, but it's basically 4 stories everywhere. But it doesn't feel like 4 stories because it feels like 3 stories and then 4 stories, because the top of each maisonette, if you look carefully, is twisted through 180 degrees. So it means that you have private gardens at the top of your house for the upper maisonette, and you have the gardens at the bottom, which open out onto communal allotments. And we gave nicknames to the 4-story house. We called it the Twins because it had twin front doors, because also it sort of toggled with its neighbour, so they were like maybe 4 homes together could be thought of as twins. We also gave nicknames to the sort of urban spaces. So the one that you can see the road going through, we called that the belly, and then the one that you can see the communal allotments hopefully going through, we called that the bow tie, just as a quick reference. And what it allows you to do is bring some houses closer together, like at the entrance to the belly, you have a sort of pinch point, but then it can open up, and you could have a bit of woodland in the middle there, but you can certainly have room for car parking and bikes and the kind of front doorish spaces. And then in the back, where it opens out and it's much wider, you can start putting in more houses. And you'll notice at the front of this image that there is like 6 stories sometimes, so that you can have... Anyway, so what you can have is you can have a lot of modular housing with the 4 stories. And then at the ends of the terraces, you can have little clusters of different things. So, you know, you can have people who want to build their own kind of little castle or set of, you know, co-housing space, or businesses with housing over. There's still room for that in the profitable neighbourhood. It's just that you can have a backbone of housing, which is this 4-story. So rather than those kind of higgledy-piggledy cul-de-sac layouts, we might go for something which is a bit more rational, where you share heat with your neighbour because you're in a terrace, and that makes lots of sense. So we put together a recipe. We're saying location. So locate within 20 minutes of a train station. Otherwise, don't do it. We talked about the twins and the way that actually there's lots of space for people who need to be in a wheelchair on the ground floor of these homes. There's space... 25% of the floor area is actually fully accessible. The point is, we don't need to make everything equally accessible. The thing to understand is that a home is not a product. A home is the centre of your universe, and you create a lot of roots moving in and out of your home. Everybody's life is very complex. It involves lots of characters. And so somehow we need to start plotting this and understanding that we need neighbourhoods, not product, placed in fields. And a little bit, you know, not too much, but just a tiny 12-metre space like we've put in Jacobs Square in Lewis. That's the size of a double bedroom, but it's great for a homework club. It's great for a tiny little coffee bar, or a teeny vegetable shop, or a place you can book, you know, cycle lessons. There's lots of people who would like to just set up shop. So we ought to give those opportunities. And this is much more controversial. This is that, yeah, in this profitable neighbourhood, there are stairs. And we talking to lots of people in health, GPs, around the country, they understand the way that stairs are really, really necessary as a way of weaving in exercise into your daily life and keeping your heart and lungs really strong. So it's really good to bring people closer together and use the nudge economy so that people are more tempted to just do the 20-minute walk rather than walk to pick up the car and then do it. But also within the home, there's lots of more that we can do. So everybody gets a front door. When they've come in their front door, maybe they hang up their bicycle, or maybe they just run up the steps, or if they've got 3 toddlers and a pram, well, they just make a ritual of how they move up those stairs, which songs they sing on which steps. If you're like in your 80s or 90s, you, and this is something I've experienced with my parents, you know, there's a service where you get chairlifts that come by the week, and then when you don't need them after a while because, you know, you've gone through your post-op period, then they come and take them away again. So I think we just need to think more flexibly about the benefit of stairs. Right, am I pointing it in the right way? So I won't... We've been plotting where these things can happen near railway stations, but what I wanted to do is go back to this, which we call our density design drills. So we have these things which is a little bit like going to a life drawing class. In 5 minutes, you decide, take a plot of land which is from the Homes England hub, where they're offering land, and you think, oh, I wonder how many homes we could get here and what kind of social infrastructure we want. And we've made this brush tool that's just, it's just part of, you know, it's like you take a leaf pattern or something, but we're taking the houses. And this has been kind of like quite a nice way of telling Homes England, who've got quite interested, that actually no, you know, they're saying that site's suitable for 286 homes, but actually we got 512 on it, no sweat, and also a really nice village green and things like that. So we thought, well, we're in Guildford, maybe we should look at Walnut Tree Close, which is a lovely place near the station, and is along a river. So it's a beautiful site. And we had a go, and I'll show you the stages of that. So first of all, yeah, a bit of Google Earthing to figure out, you know, we haven't been to the site, so this is really like from the air. And then a bit of scribbling, thinking, okay, let's sort of, what does the grain of this this neighbourhood want to be in order to connect? Maybe across the river, a little new bridge. How could that be affordable? Well, we'll build this area up quite densely. And then with our magic tool, we started making a very cheeky proposal, which, you know, we haven't talked to anybody here about, but it was just to illustrate the fact that it is something everybody can do. Everybody should be involved in this. It shouldn't just be left to the experts. We should try out different things because there isn't one answer. And there is a lot of narrative and joy to be had in seeing what land can do for everybody. So at that point, well, we've decided there's 286 homes there, which I think it measures up quite well to what I saw up there on the panel for the student housing. Thank you.